Hey, hey, hey! Welcome back to Melinda's Messy Sink. I appreciate you stopping by my channel, and I'm looking forward to cooking with you in my kitchen today. Today, we are going to do part 3 of our Easter recipe series. Today is going to be focused on one of the best parts of Easter, and that is candy. We will be making Crockpot Candy today. I am so looking forward to showing you how easy this recipe is, and these are great little Easter gifts to give away to people, maybe your neighbors or friends or church acquaintances. They are great. And everyone's gonna think you spent all day working in the kitchen whenever it couldn't be further from the truth. These are easy. One thing to caution, this recipe takes a little bit of time. So you start the recipe and then you check on it and then it's done a couple hours later. So just need to make sure that you plan your day to where you can be close to your crock pot. You don't have to stand over it by any stretch of the imagination, but you do need to be around it for a couple hours. So before we get started, if you're new or if you're returning, again, I appreciate you so much. Would like to ask you to comment below and tell me a little bit about yourself and where you're from. I would love to get to know you. I'll go first. I am Melinda, obviously. I grew up in the Midwest and live in Indianapolis, Indiana, home of the Indianapolis 500 Motor Speedway, if you or your husband is into that kind of stuff. I have lived other places and traveled a lot for work, but Indiana has always been home. And the thing I like most about Indiana is the fact that we have all 4 seasons. Now, keep in mind, I may complain and complain during the winter, and I may complain and complain during the summer because I'm so hot, but I thoroughly enjoy being able to have all 4 seasons. So, let me get my hands washed and then we'll get started putting our Crockpot candy together. Okay. I have washed my hands and it's time for us to go ahead and get started. We are going to lightly spray our Crockpot. I am using my rectangle Crockpot, but you can use your normal oval, or if you have a circular Crockpot, it doesn't matter. I just purposely grabbed this one because it was closest to where I was. You can spray your crock with cooking spray for a nice easy cleanup, or if you have the crock pot liners, feel free to use those as well. Whatever's your preference, there's no right or wrong, just whatever fits better for you and your family. I'm gonna go ahead and give my crock a light spray just to help make sure that nothing gets stuck and it's easy whenever it's time to clean up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make layers in our crock pot. We are going to layer the 2 16-ounce jars of dry roasted salted peanuts first. And then we're gonna put the other one in. Get the lid off. All right. Then next, we are going to layer in the German chocolate, the sweet German chocolate. This comes in a bar, and you just want to break your squares apart. You don't have to break every one of them, but if you want to just break a few pieces so that it's not all stuck in the middle. It's just like a big candy bar. There's no rhyme or reason how I'm putting it in here, just kind of just dropping it in. And then next, we're going to add our semi-sweet chocolate chips. For some reason at the grocery store, they did not have Nestle's today. I'm not sure if lots of people are making Crockpot candy this weekend or if they're making chocolate chip cookies or what, but for some reason our store did not have Nestle's. Sorry about that, I had to grab my scissors. So we're just gonna layer in our chocolate chips. Semi-sweet chocolate chips. Then next, we're going to layer in our heat pieces. They don't have to be exactly perfect. Just get them in there so they can become all ooey and gooey together. And then we're just gonna kind of spread out all of our heat pieces. And then next, we're going to add our candy melt or your almond bark. If you have almond bark, you're going to do the same thing that we did to that chocolate bar and just break apart and just put your pieces all around your crock pot. This thing's going to be full. So once you get everything in, that's it. That's all there is to it. I'm not even exaggerating. I first learned about this recipe years ago watching Trisha Yearwood, her cooking special on Food Network. She made this Crockpot candy. Since then, I've made it several times. I've tried different variations with chocolate and heath or chocolate and coconut, chocolate and caramel chips, chocolate and peanut butter chips. Anytime I've made it, it's always turned out great. So feel free to experiment a little with whatever flavors that you think would go great together, or maybe your family has a favorite. Feel free to do those, and I know that you're just gonna love this recipe. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna put the lid on, and we are going to cook this on low up to 3 hours. It really depends on your crock pot. The recipe says 3 hours, but I have made this before and it has not taken the full 3 hours. So that's what I was saying earlier, where you just kind of need to be around and keep an eye on it. I would start checking it maybe an hour and a half or so. It's not gonna look like anything is happening, but you're going to be able to smell the peanuts, which is gonna make you crave candy like there's no tomorrow. But once everything gets melted, then you know it's done. So if you feel like that it looks like it's done, it smells like it's done, you may want to give it a stir just to see if everything's blending. If it's not, go ahead and put the lid back on, no worries, and let it continue to warm up. If everything is melting together and there's no chunks of chocolate anywhere, then this is probably done and you can go on to the next step. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my lid on, I'm gonna turn this on low, and I'm gonna set my timer to check it in about an hour and a half or so, and then I'm just gonna keep checking it every half hour or so. The main thing you wanna do is you don't want to burn your chocolate. And I'm sure it'll be great. I've had other people tell me that it took the entire 3 hours, so I just kind of wanted to put that warning out there just in case your crock pot cooks a little faster than some of the other ones. So I will be back whenever this is done. I will tell you exactly how long it took in my crock pot, and then we'll go on to the next step. While our candy is baking, I thought this would be a great time to go over our ingredients. We have 2.5 pounds of candy melts, either vanilla or almond candy melts. They're also called candy bark as well. They're either these little candy melts, or you can get almond bark or vanilla bark in the grocery aisle where the chocolate chips are. Either works interchangeably. I typically find candy melts at like Hobby Lobby, Joann's, Michael's in the cake decorating section. I make a lot of cake pops, so I have a monster bag of these that I bought. So that's why they're not in the individual bags, and I didn't buy the candy bar. But going on further, we also have one bag of semi-sweet chocolate chips, one bag of Heath pieces, one 4-ounce container, box of German sweet chocolate, and 2 jars of dry roasted salted peanuts. I will have the exact recipe and measurements for you towards the end of the video. Okay, y'all, I'm back. It's been about an hour and a half, and I wanted to check my candy, and I wanted you guys to see what it looked like as well. So I'm not sure if it's done yet or not, but I wanted to give it a try because we're right at that hour and a half mark. I'm gonna bring you guys a little bit closer. Okay, sorry about moving it like that. All right, so let's see how things are melting. Okay, so the candy melts for me are still hard on the top, so we know it's not done. All right, so we checked it. I'm going to give it maybe 45 minutes to an hour, and then we will, get it down here so you can see. I'm going to give it about 45 minutes to an hour, and then we'll come back and check it again. Welcome back, y'all. All right, it has been the full 3 hours for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn you down, and I'm going to start to stir this so you can kind of see exactly what it looks like because I haven't touched it yet. As you can see, it looks just like the candy whenever we put it in there. So we're just going to start turning it is what I was going to say. All right, so we're going to keep stirring it. I needed to get something a little bit heavier. That little spatula just wasn't cutting it, so to speak. And it kind of takes a little bit to get things moving around, so don't be concerned. Okay, so instead of having you sit here and watch me do this, I am going to go ahead and stir this around really well, get everything incorporated, and I will meet you over on my counter where we'll get the actual pieces made, the bite-sized pieces. Okay, y'all, we're back. I have been, my chocolate's done. It took about 2 hours and 45 minutes to get all melted. Sorry that I'm talking to you, you can't see me. I want you to see this first, but it took about 2 hours and 45 minutes to get melted. It was, or it will be, a little bit of an arm workout trying to get everything mixed up because you've got your different layers in there. And now I'm just taking a 2 tablespoon measuring spoon and making scoops into our cupcake liners. And then you kind of want to push it down a little bit so that they aren't too thick. With all of the nuts and the heat bar, it is going to be a little thicker, but you will get into a rhythm. I have also, this is my probably 5th or 6th pan, and I have several of these parchment paper sheets as well, because I wanted to show you that you can either do the muffin tins or you can just lay them out on parchment paper, whichever you prefer. So let me finish doing these really quick here. You're going to need some room to let all of this stuff lay out to dry. So you might want to just kind of keep that in mind or kind of plan for where you're going to put them. But I just want to reiterate the fact that don't get discouraged whenever you take the lid off and you are getting a full-on arm workout because of the fact that, it's so hard to stir everything. This is not a nice, neat process by any stretch of the imagination. You're gonna have chocolate all over you, all over your house, but let me tell you, I may have licked my fingers a time or two, and they are really good. So I'm gonna finish getting these out, and then I'll be back and we'll give one a try. I have gotten all of the candy scooped out, and I wanted to show you just how much candy this recipe makes. I'm gonna walk over here to my stove. And now I'm at the top of my stove, and my whole glass top is covered in candy as well. Needless to say, there's candy for days at my house. But these are going to make great gifts, as well as satisfy an occasional chocolate fix that I might need. But there's no way I can keep all this at my house, or I'll eat every bite of it. These are some of the first pieces that I dipped out. So I thought I was gonna try one of these. They look like they're done. Yeah, not quite, but good enough. All right, so I'm gonna give them a try. They're not all the way set up, so I don't want it to melt on my fingers. They taste like a Mr. Good bar, but then we added that heat in there, so it gives it a little bit of crunch. There, so good. So, if you would remember to comment below and tell me a little bit about yourself and where you're from, as well as like and follow Melinda's Messy Sink page. I would so appreciate you guys. Don't forget that Jesus loves you, and I'll see you in the next video.